In this video we are going to take a quite a close look I believe, on the Böker P08 Parabellum Damascus Dagger. I think that is the full name of the knife. I'm not quite sure. I usually just refer to it as the P08. As the Böker P08, I believe. There is not a whole lot of text going on here. The box itself is actually quite, anonymous, if I may say so. There are some, some numbers and some letters perhaps, but it doesn't say one thing about the actual contents. So let's do this semi-interesting unboxing then, shall we? So we slide this box out here. This is just a white paper carbon shell. Carbon? Do you really say that? Cardboard. If it was carbon, it would have been quite cool actually. But a cardboard shell. So here is the actual knife itself, and a sheath and some certificate. I like the German spelling here of certificat with a Z. Böker P08 Damascus. Böker Solingen. So we got some text going on here. Might be visible enough for the camera, perhaps not. It says that the blade steel is hand-forged Damascus, boomerang pattern, 80 layers. The forger is Chad Nichols, USA. Rockwell hardness of 58. The grind is flat and the handle material used is rosewood. This knife was made by hand in the Böker knife manufactory in Solingen, Germany. You have a limited lifetime guarantee on materials and workmanship. We have some additional paperwork here. One which has the German flag here, so it's going to be in German. I guess I could read this. I mean, I did study German for some time, but since there is an English option, I think I'm just going to go with that, to be fully honest. Thank you for your support. Since 1869 we have been manufacturing innovative knives made by hand in Solingen. Today, as a traditional German manufacturer, we have to compete with international corporations who primarily manufacture using machine technology. And some more text, etc. Care instructions, limited lifetime warranty, and so on. If you press pause now, you will be able to perhaps read all of this. And on this side we can see that there is actually not a fixed blade, it's a folding knife, a folder here. I think this one is called the Tirpitz in Damascus as well. Maybe I should try to get my hands on a folder from Böker as well. This is my very first experience with any type of knife made by Böker. So, but I'm sure I'm gonna show a folder here later on. So let's take a look at, we can take a look at the sheath now, and then we can go into the more interesting stuff here. Very cute. Ulti-clip, yeah. So this is what the sheath looks like. Small leather sheath. Looks, feels very sturdy. Almost like there is some, kydex going on inside, but it sure isn't. It just feels, really thick and sturdy. With the Ulti-clip here, since there is no belt loop or any possibility to use a dangler attachment or anything, so it's gonna be a carrying system using this. Nice little leather sheath with the Böker logo here on the back side. Nice stitching, thick leather. It actually feels feels like quality, and now we have to do the smell testing. Smells like real leather. So that's the sheath. So let's move on here to the knife. Kvalitetskontrolle 181. Is that correct? So quality control 181. I think I might have gotten it wrong. Like I said, I know my German isn't really the best, but yeah. Bitte bei Reklamation angeben. Okay, it says that you should mention this if you contact the warranty department. Anyways, here is the knife itself. This is, you know, quite a different box of sorts. So let's open this up. I mean, it is really kind of strange, but kind of cool in a way as well. So we just do like this, and well, here we go, I guess. Got a outer protection here of sorts, and a small tip protection thing as well. Magnetic of sorts. Yeah, like I said, really, you know, interesting, quite innovative box, but kind of strange as well, to be, you know, completely honest. So here we have the knife itself, and I think I'm gonna have to zoom in on the camera a bit, so give me just a few seconds. We are now slightly more zoomed in, so we can actually get a good look here at all the details from the, you know, the Damascus, Chad Nicholas boomerang Damascus, to the guard here, the rosewood with the, you know, pattern, checkered pattern, the screws that are almost perfectly aligned. This is really something that can mess with my OCD if it was not perfectly aligned. Maybe I could have done something about it though, but this I'm just gonna let it be the way it is. But quite, you know, quite a nice blade, nice pattern. I will say that I do not have the best light source here, so it might be difficult, you know, to really see and appreciate the Chad Nichols 80-layer boomerang Damascus. So you might just have, you know, to take my word for it that it is a very nice looking Damascus blade with some really nice even grind lines to it. But let's check out the specs here a bit now. So obviously a dagger design, obviously a full tang design with Damascus steel and rosewood. Are we gonna call it scales or perhaps inlays? I'm not quite sure. A little bit, you know, to resemble the scales on a Parabellum Luger, one of the more common guns used in World War II. Anyways, so this knife, it is the overall length of it from bottom to the very tip is 175 millimeters, so 17.5 centimeters. We have a blade length that is 82 millimeters, so 8.2 centimeter in blade length. We have a blade thickness of 2.5 millimeters. I actually thought it was a little bit thicker when I first took a look at it. But I checked the specs, both on Lamnia where I got it, but I also went to Böker's own homepage to check it out, and it is indeed 2.5 millimeters. I could have, of course, just measured it myself, but yeah, sometimes I get a little bit lazy, I guess. The weight of the knife is a bit over 100. I think it is 106 grams. So there is a bit of weight to it, actually, despite its, very compact size. I wear size 10 in gloves. I do have, fairly large hands. So placing this knife in my hand like this, I do get a full 4-finger grip. No real, hot spots as I can feel, but I mean there are, it's not sharp, but it's not, smoothen out either. Here on this, the swelling part here, on the, should we call this a pommel of sorts? I guess we could. So this pommel, the swelling here, could be a potential, well, sort of hotspottish place for some people, depending on how much you use this knife. I mean, this is a combat knife, this is a dagger, so I mean, it's not something you're gonna sit and do a lot of bushcrafting with. Or maybe you are, I mean, who knows. I'm not sure what I'm gonna use this knife for. I picked it up because it was a really cool design and I felt like, I felt like I wanted it. And like I've stated in some videos before, I mean, I do have a lot of knives by now, so I mean, I can sometimes pick up knives just because they are, nice looking, stylish, cool, some interesting materials, interesting design, etc. And that is very much the case with this one. Interesting, it's a really, smoky smell to it. Well, that's interesting and nice. So in terms of comfort, well, I mean, placing your thumb like this, it may not be the most comfortable knife, but I don't think, ergos was the main aspect when designing this specific knife. Let's do some more close-up shots here. You can also look here at the scales. Feels flush. There is no, it just feels good here. Switching side. Feels good here as well. The checkering is quite nicely done. Now we're going into some really fine details here. And both pieces of wood does look nice. There are some darker areas as can be seen here compared to this side. And I think that's just, oil. The blade had some oil on it as well. So it might just be some oil coming here on the scales, which would darken it. We can also see now the screws that they are not, 100% perfectly aligned, but it is definitely not, terribly bad. But if you have a problem with, severe OCD, this could potentially be something that you could, well, feel annoyed about. Let's get some close up here of the blade. Now we actually have some pretty good light here. There is some text going on here, not sure how visible it is, but it just says P08 Damascus. Let's turn it around and it says Böker and something more. Does it say like Solingen perhaps? Yeah. It says Böker Solingen. And here it says 549. This may be a limited run, but I really do wonder if they have actually made that many of it. Perhaps they have. I guess so, but that's quite a bit more than I thought. So I'm not 100% sure about that. There was no in the certificate. I don't think they put the number there, did they? No. Yeah, whatever. One can only, imagine that this is indeed the serial number of this knife. So I think that is probably it for the unboxing part. We should probably place it in the leather sheath to see how it fits. Just want to get some more shots here of the Damascus. It is a cool little knife. I've got to say that, you know, it's may not be the, you know, the most useful knife, but like a, you know, a boat knife or boat dagger of sorts, I think it will do the trick, right? So here we have the sheath. Let's place the knife inside it, shall we? And see if we can get it close. It's probably gonna be a bit tight here the first time when you try to. There we go. So it does stick out quite a bit, you know, it's getting a bit lengthy inside the sheath there. But it's not going anywhere. So this is what the knife will look like when sheathed. Yeah, I guess this is it for the actual, you know, unboxing, the specs, etc. Next up, we can, you know, try doing some slicing of sorts, and well, I'm not really sure what I'm gonna put this knife through for this video review. I just want to give you guys primarily a good view of the knife. But we should of course do some you know, slicing of paper, maybe try to shave some leg hair, and you know, some stuff like that. But it's definitely not gonna be a lot of hard use or abuse or anything like that. That much I can say. So it's time for the second part of this video. The first one was a bit more theoretical of sorts. We went over, you know, the design, the specs. We took, you know, some closer looks at the knife. And in this part, I want to put it to some, well, rather light use. This is not going to be a heavy user whatsoever. I did buy it mainly because I thought it was a kind of, you know, stylish / cool looking knife that I would, you know, sit and look at and maybe slice some paper inside the house, in front of the fireplace during late, cold winter nights, perhaps. But nonetheless, we need to check the sharpness, and we're going to do that by slicing some regular printing paper, slicing some magazine paper, slicing some newspaper paper. So this is my kind of standard paper sharpness test. We might also do some shaving of leg hair and perhaps something more, but that's probably gonna be it, to be, you know, fully honest. But I do want to put it to some use. I expect this knife to be kind of sharp, but I haven't yet tested the factory edge here. So let's get going. We're gonna start with regular printing paper. Try to make it visible in the camera too. So I'm gonna switch side when I'm cutting to see that the sharpness is, you know, even on both sides, or if there is a difference in sharpness, which there very well might be. Switching side now. So this side does feel sharper than this side, you know, just going from what we've done so far, the very first two cuts. Switching side. Still like this, perhaps. Switch sides, yeah. One side is indeed a bit sharper than the other. I will say that, you know, it's not a scary sharp knife, to be completely honest. I mean, it will slice the regular printing paper, but it is most certainly, you know, not my sharpest knife. This side that I just used here is the sharper side of the knife. This side is actually, you know, well, may not be scary sharp, but it is, you know, somewhat sharp. But switching sides, yeah. So it is, well, it is kind of sharp. Could have been slightly sharper for, you know, the regular printing paper. Let's try the magazine paper. I will say that, you know, different kinds of paper pose different kinds of challenges. Some knives slice different paper better than other. So let's try this kind of paper now. So I was only using this side of the edge for slicing this paper, and it did, well, a really good job. So let's switch side. So it does slice, you know, the magazine paper. One side sliced it a bit more clean, which can be seen here, probably not on camera, but, you know, some of the cuts are just cleaner looking than some of the others. But yes, it will slice the magazine paper. So let's try the newspaper paper now, which should probably pose the biggest challenge I've written. But sometimes, you know, sometimes I get surprised. So I'm gonna start with this side, if we can just, thank you. This is a bit interesting actually. I thought it would, you know, do worse. Because like I said, this is usually the most difficult kind of paper to slice. We're gonna switch side. Yeah, this is actually fairly interesting. I switch side now for those who caught it. So, like I stated, I mean, it's not the kind of far from the sharpest knife that I own, perhaps the pointiest knife, but it is still, you know, sharp enough to slice up the different kinds of papers that I had to offer. And I did feel a bit of a difference in sharpness between the two edges. Then again, I guess that, you know, a knife of this size and with the, you know, intended use, you kind of want to have a nice point instead for piercing. That is, I mean, the main purpose of a dagger design. But I do want the knife to be sharp, So I might maybe perhaps put, you know, a slightly finer edge on it in the future, but I don't really feel it's super necessary, to be completely honest. Let's see if we can do some shaving of leg hair. That could be an interesting test as well. We're not gonna do a testing of the piercing capabilities on my body, that's for sure, but shaving some leg hair, well, I can be okay with that. Well, here we have a nice piece of leg. It's always difficult to see if the hair will actually be visible, but I might be able to edit it in the video so that it is more, well, easy to distinguish. So let's start with one side of the edge and then we go with the other and see what we can accomplish here, right? So yeah, let's get this going. Definitely not my, you know, smoothest shaving experience, that's for sure. Yeah, I mean, okay, we do get some hair to actually, you know, fall off from one side of the knife, but it's, you know, well, not the most pleasant experience, if I may put it like that. Let's try the other side of the edge here. Let's go here. I would say it's about the same result. It's more, you know, like dragging it off the leg. Sure, we do get some hair to be removed, as well as some, you know, skin fragments, etc. But not really, you know, what I would say a shaving sharp edge. That's for sure. So maybe, yeah, maybe I will have to touch it up a bit if I want to shave my legs with it in the future. So last, or well, I think it's gonna be the last test at least. I thought it would be interesting to do some you know, piercing with the fine tip here. So let's revisit. Let's just see. Let's take a piece of perhaps printing paper here. How should I do this? Well, it doesn't require much force to, you know, have it just, you know, go through like that. But let's do something with this instead. A piece of leather. I should have, you know, attached this to something so we could try it just on having it, you know, freely hanging. Well, it actually worked with hanging just free. Let's see if I can perhaps, you know, pretty clean cut. So I mean, obviously it will slice. It will pierce and it will slice. Let's see. These are actually kind of clean cuts. I mean, if this was my leg, I would be kind of worried by now if I was like out in the woods and made this cut to my leg or arm or something like that. That wouldn't be very good. Gonna need a big band-aid. So yeah, this is kind of our, you know, random test, I guess. But I just wanted to do something more than slicing paper and, you know, shaving leg hair. See if we can do any additional, you know. Yeah, shredded or semi-shredded piece of leather. So I think it will do what it was designed to do. That much I can say. But if you're looking for a knife to shave your legs with, you might have to look for something else than that. And that concludes the sharpness test of the factory edge. And we are perhaps out of focus. Man, this is a good, classic, stylish looking knife. Sure is. We have now reached the final part of this dedicated video of the Böker P08 Damascus boot dagger. We have taken quite a good look at the knife itself and the sheath that comes with it. We have gone over the design, the specs, and we also did some sharpness tests with it, in which we concluded that the knife is sharp, but it is not, you know, scary sharp. Yes, it will slice printing paper fairly okay. It will slice magazine paper pretty good, and it will, surprisingly enough, slice newspaper paper pretty well. We also did some shaving of leg hair, or we tried to. I mean, we did manage to remove a bit of hair, but it was not, you know, really a very pleasant experience. So not a recommended knife for shaving hair, unless you spend a little time using a strop or any other sharpening system, which you may use if you want to put it, you know, to you know, becoming more hair popping sharp, or just, well, shaving sharp at that. Hair popping might be a stretch for some people, depending on sharpness skills, of course. And sharpening a dagger can be a bit more of work than sharpening, you know, more regular edge design. We also did some piercing and slicing of leather, and that is where the knife did quite a fine job, I got to say. We really, you know, sliced this piece of leather up, piercing and, you know, thrusting and slicing. So, and that is, I guess, what the knife was actually designed for. So I mean, in terms of that, the knife will perform as, you know, intended. But I might put it on my strop here to make it just a tad bit sharper, perhaps. This is a very, you know, classic, stylish looking knife. The Chad Nichols Boomerang Damascus sure is good looking on this one. I mean, the pattern will be slightly different depending, you know, on from knife to knife, but it's still gonna be Boomerang Damascus, and that has a good look to it, you know, in general. And, you know, just a really nice looking knife. I did mention that the screws were not entirely perfectly aligned, which might cause a bit of OCD for some people. This might not cause that much of OCD, but if they were, you know, less well aligned than on my knife, it could be, you know, well, annoying or frustrating for some people. That's for sure. So my you know, my conclusion is that this is a real nice knife. It is pretty much what I expected, or well, it's actually even nicer looking in real life than the photos showed me, and I am happy that I got it. But it is a pricey knife. I will tell you that. I haven't checked, you know, I didn't, well, could I say disassemble this knife? So I'm not quite sure about the construction in total, but you know, hopefully it will hold up to the little use that I put it through at least. But a nice little boot dagger with a nice little leather sheath that feels quite sturdy, that I've got to say. So, Böker P08, over and out.